What do you think the fallout is after what we saw in the Oval Office today?
Well, Connell, maybe you can help me out, but I couldn't tell whether Sean was auditioning for a job at the Kremlin or at the Trump White House. But he's clearly just a puppet for Putin as well. And the idea that he would get on there and talk about, is this the Ukrainian side versus the US side? That's our ally. That's the democracy we're trying to defend. That's the democracy that still exists because for 4 years, Biden didn't sell out to Putin, didn't give in to his threats, didn't give in to his promises of nuclear Armageddon. Constantly fought with Republicans in Congress, by the way, who sat for months on aid that Ukraine desperately needed, but constantly fought to deliver a bipartisan consensus and get aid to Ukraine so that they could hold on in a war that every analyst said they would lose in 2 weeks if Russia actually invaded. So Biden actually stood by our ally. He wasn't perfect, and I was somewhat critical of the speed at which we gave certain types of aid. I thought we should have given tanks sooner, things like that. But Biden stood by them, and Trump is selling us out.
Now,
Trump is completely selling us out to the Russians, and that is unprecedented. You and I can agree on that.
Now, the reaction, not just Sean, from other Republicans. We played a clip from Lindsey Graham earlier, who was at the White House. I'll put up something from Congressman Byron Donalds, who's going to run for the be governor of Florida. And what he said was, this is what putting the American people first looks like. And he thanked Trump and he thanked Vance for standing up for our nation. And that's what they said. This is the us versus them, that it's America first. That's
really, because every American I've heard from is embarrassed, including a lot of veterans, completely embarrassed by this draft dodging commander-in-chief who wants to sell us out to Putin and be Putin's puppet, to this pogue coward vice president who's never even bothered to visit Ukraine. I mean, Lindsey Graham's been to Ukraine several times. I've been to Ukraine. Can't even bother to visit as a member of Congress to understand what's going on the ground, to understand why we're spending American taxpayer dollars defending NATO, defending our allies, and preventing for preventing Putin from running all over Europe, including the American troops in Europe. I don't know who these Republicans are talking to, but they're not talking to freedom-loving Americans. They're not talking to people who fight and stand up for American values like Ukraine is doing. They apparently want to side with dictators. And I'll tell you, in private, like when I was at the Munich Security Conference, sitting with Lindsey Graham and others, meeting with Zelenskyy, they're all on the same page. We're all on the same page about wanting to support the right side of this conflict.
Well, what kind of things are they saying there?
They're saying different things. They're so scared of Donald Trump, they can't tell the truth.
But you're saying specifically Lindsey Graham was saying different things there than he said today.
Oh, come on. That doesn't take it.
Right, but
you don't need Sherlock Holmes to
saying
figure that out.
No, but specifically Senator Graham,
Lindsey Graham changes his story every time Donald Trump changes his story. We've seen that for years. We've seen that since 2014.
What do you think happens next here? I mean, there is a practical side of this, I think, that we were talking about a minute ago. So say you're Zelenskyy. To your point, we've seen a lot of this before. We've seen the players before. If you're Zelenskyy walking in today, you do know to some extent who you're dealing with, and you would be able to, I don't know, predict is the right word, but you would know that something like this could happen. And now, to use Trump's words, he doesn't have any cards. I mean, now what? What is the card he plays?
How would you handle yourself if you were walking into a meeting with a guy who's tried to extort you in the past and is now trying to extort you for your own mineral wealth when an enemy of the United States and an enemy of your nation has invaded you?
No,
right?
all that's true.
Burn down your house.
No, I get it, but he's like,
oh, well, you gotta pay to rebuild it now.
But he has to. It is the person he's dealing with, right? President Trump was elected to be the president of the United States. The United States is a key player in all of this. So Zelenskyy has to figure out how to deal with that.
I just don't understand what he should have done differently. What is he going to do?
That's what I'm asking. What's he going to do now? Do you think? Like Sean says, he should come back and apologize and start over.
Apologize for what? For standing up for his own country? For standing up for his own freedom? For standing against Vladimir Putin? I mean, he's not going to just compromise his basic integrity as a Ukrainian.
So then what happens? So Trump's point is, like, if we're out, I think he said something like this today, hey, if we're out, you're in big trouble, it's over. So does Zelenskyy turn to Europe? Can Europe fill the gap in terms of a security guarantee, keep him safe and cut a deal? Because, I mean, again, not to beat the dead horse here, but to the practical side of it, what does he do to make sure that his people are as safe as they possibly can? Get a good deal for his people?
Zelenskyy is lucky that he does have some allies who are standing by him. And I'm sad to admit it's not America, but right now under Trump, but it is his European allies.
Thanks so much for watching. Just go to joinnn.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.